bring in Dan Israel, who is the part of the Chiefs Radio Network. He does a fantastic job with the pregame show and also the executive producer. So, hi, Dan. How you doing? And how's Phoenix?
I'm doing well, and it's beautiful. You know, when you're from Kansas City, I think it's 30-something there today, and it is not 30-something here in Phoenix. So very happy, very pleasant. The sun just set on us, but I think it was 70 degrees today, so pretty nice day.
Nice. Well, talk about, were you there last night at the opening night? Anything you taken away from it all? That, you know, everybody and their brother there, and you got all the weirdos with the barrel walking around. You know, did you see any weird things? This year you're going to go. Was that there last year in Tampa?
I don't think I saw anything weird. It definitely, for us, Tampa Bay was COVID year, so they didn't do Radio Row. They didn't do opening night. But in 2019, they did, and that was very similar. The players come out. I think one of the things that always stands out to me most is that the Super Bowl is such it's a game of a magnitude that is unlike any other. And so the players come out and they're on stage, they're all shooting with their cell phones, the crowd, right? Because they want to remember this moment as well. And so that just goes to show that this is not your average playoff game. It is not a regular season game. This is the Super Bowl. And opening night was on a spectacle equal to that.
So is anybody you talked – I know you talked to a lot of the Kansas City players throughout the year. You had practice before. Is there anybody that you wanted to talk to that you're like, let me talk to him and see what he thinks about this play? Everybody wants to talk to Patrick and Juju and Kelsey and everybody and Andy Reid. Is there one person you were like, I want to talk to that guy?
Yeah, we really have pretty good, as being Chiefs Radio and as part of the team, we have pretty good access to the players themselves. So really, media night for me isn't an opportunity to really spend time with players. It is an opportunity to just see, friends, to see guys that are a part of the team itself that I don't normally get to see or maybe not get to see at this time of the year. And so for me, I kind of just tried to sit back and enjoy it, to be honest with you. 2019, we did an awful lot of work. It was the first Super Bowl we had done as the Chiefs. And I think I went home and threw away about 80% of the work we had done. So I just decided this year we weren't going to quite work so hard and just kind of enjoy the moment.
That's awesome. That's cool. I was listening to talk radio the other morning. I had to go out late at night here in Baltimore. I had to go get something for my girlfriend. She wasn't feeling well. And I love hearing these conspiracy people on the air. It's like it was this one guy I don't know what he was doing up in New England or something like that, but he was like, Patrick Mahomes' knee is fake. He didn't hurt himself. He did this against the Patriots. Do you hear that all the time around there going like, what are you guys talking about? He has a sprained ankle. Come on, give it a break.
Yeah, the conspiracy theories I think are always amusing to me, and I think it was a couple last year in the AFC Championship. The rumor was that Mahomes threw it, and I just, if you knew Patrick Mahomes at all, you would laugh at it because he's the most competitive individual I've ever been around in my life. There's no way he's throwing a game, and certainly not one that would have sent him back to his third straight Super Bowl. So, but Mahomes' ankle, I think one of the things that it goes to show is one, how incredibly tough this kid is. I mean, I've been around him now for 6 years, really 7 with you. If you talk about his rookie season, which he didn't play, he played behind Alex Smith. Tough individual. And 2, how good the Chiefs training staff is. They got this guy ready to go. I mean, every day he progressed and got better. And from all accounts, everything I heard about practice yesterday, Mahomes was dropping these dimes that were catching people that know Mahomes' attention. That's how good he looked in practice. It was like, the guy is ready to play today. Let's go play the Super Bowl.
That's great. But you got to realize you got 4 more days to practice.
Right.
You can't tell Andy Reid, can we just go now? Can we just go over to, get it done? Yeah.
I think it was interesting, when he got hurt in Jacksonville, he would not come out of the game. Right. And so afterwards I asked Coach Reid, I said, what was the deal? And he goes, I just wanted him to get an x-ray. He just wanted to fight. He just wanted to stay in the game. It's like, Pat, it's 10 minutes. Just go get an x-ray. We'll put you back in the game if you're cleared to play. But I love that intensity. And look, would you really want it any other way? I mean, I know you're right. It's a long time between now and Sunday, but you got to love a guy that's just so intense. I guarantee one thing. Look, when it comes to the AFC versus the NFC, one of the things that's fascinating about the Super Bowl is we don't play a lot of interconference games. So you really never know how your conference stacks up against the other conference. You do know about, your own conference. We know how we stack up against the Bills. We know how we stack up against the Bengals. Very intense competition. 3 great teams. It looks as though the Eagles are great this year. It looks like they dominated the NFC, right, for the most part. But I don't know how that stacks up against the AFC's competition. I know our schedule was incredibly tough. I don't think the Eagles were quite as battle-tested as us, but don't know. We'll find that out on Sunday. But I always think it's interesting. One thing I can guarantee you, it's going to be entertaining. And 2, Mahomes, Kelsey, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, none of these guys are taking anything back to the locker room. They're going to leave everything they've got on that field.
That's true. Adam, go ahead.
Yeah. We've first of all, we all picked Kansas City to win the Super Bowl, Dan. You can see Chris and I are wearing Kansas City red tonight in honor of the Chiefs. And we've been fortunate to have Josh Klinger on our show and Dan and Hughes joined us earlier. So talk to us how cool it is to have a former Chiefs wide receiver being part of your radio network in Josh Klinger, and also the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, who is, to me, one of all-around great guys to have as a play-by-play guy.
Well, with regards to Mitch, I think I hired Mitch 28 or 9 years ago, and it was the right decision, right? I mean, this is a guy that's become iconic in the league. His calls are iconic. You hear them every day on the NFL Network, whether they peel off the part about touchdown Kansas City or not. You hear him screaming touchdown. So Mitch is a wonderful human being. He's one of those guys. He's just been a consummate team player for the last 3 decades. Danon is actually new to our network. He just started with me a couple of years ago, although I do remember I've been with the network for 34 years, so I do remember him as a player, and I knew him, but he has been fantastic. There is no one I've met probably in my life that's personified teammate like Danon Hughes. And that's, when you talk about a guy that's in the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, one of the ways he got there was that. And so Danon's been just an unbelievable addition to our broadcast. And Josh Klingler, a consummate radio professional. There's nobody that you can throw at. A couple of weeks ago, we had a game where Mitch Holthus was beating the drum at the beginning of the game. And Kling had to call the game while Mitch made his way back from the drum deck to the booth, and no nerves. It sounded like $1 million. I mean, he's such a smooth radio professional. And again, another guy who would bend over backwards for you, do anything. Both these guys, if we asked them to carry equipment, they would. If we asked them to go run and get something to drink, they would. There's no job they consider beneath them. And I just think that goes to show the character of these 2 individuals, and 3 individuals, really, if you include Mitch. And so I've been pretty blessed. I've got a crew of about 30 people all told, 7 and 8 of us on the road, 9 of us on the road here. And every one of them, man, I wouldn't trade another individual for.
Yeah. Let's talk about real quickly.
Some of them are in the other room, though, so I want to backtrack a little of that and just say, you can't find good help these days. That's all there is to it.
Are they listening?
I don't know if they can hear it, but they can hear me. So.
Okay.
I love it. So I just moved. I got to ask you, a local guy here, Orlando Brown. We're in Baltimore. Orlando Brown came to you guys from Baltimore. That stuff. What do you see with his development? Because we talked to Dana before about his development. What do you see in your 2 or 3 years with him?
One of the things that's an unfortunate thing about the National Football League, right, is that position is incredibly important. We lost a Super Bowl in 2020 when Eric Fisher got injured and couldn't play in the Super Bowl. And so, blessed to have Orlando Brown. I think he is a guy who really wants to be that premier left tackle. I think he's getting better. I think he's got a ways to go. I think he can improve. I think he can get better. But I was very happy with the way he played in the AFC Championship. That, I'll tell you, that Bengals team, tough team. They are so good. And, you can't have a weakness. You can't make a mistake against those guys and be victorious. And Orlando Brown had a great day. And he needs to have a good day on Sunday, because I think the Eagles are going to be much the same.
Yeah. Matt, you got a question for Dan? Go ahead.
Yes, Dan, I got two questions. First question is the close games you guys had with Jacksonville and with the Bengals. How will that benefit the Chiefs with the Super Bowl game? And the second question is, if the Chiefs are able to come out victorious and win the Super Bowl, what will this mean to the organization, to the fans, and the players of the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah, good questions. I think first of all, Coach Reid is talks a lot about iron sharpening iron. Yeah, a lot of coaches talk about that. Coach Reid wants to play the best guys all the time. He doesn't want to play the Green Bay Packers with an injured Aaron Rodgers. He wants to play the full strength team. And the reason he wants to do that is because he truly believes it makes you better. When you play a team that is so good that you can't make a mistake, then you're really elevating your own play. And so I think from the standpoint of the Jaguars, certainly Doug Peterson has turned that franchise around. Really impressed with the job he's done. That was a hot mess a year ago. And he's made them into a playoff team. And frankly, probably will contend for the next few years. I think when you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, that game was a pick 'em from the get-go. I mean, it was going to be the last guy with the ball. And, it didn't go our way last year. It went our way this year. And so I think, they want to play good teams and they want to be the best at, I think they always want to play good teams. I just think they want to stay sharp like that. Remind me of your second question. I'm sorry.
Yes, the second question is, if the Chiefs are able to win the Super Bowl, what would it mean for the organization, the fans, and the players?
Yeah, it's interesting. We were talking about Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's an outstanding wide receiver, but he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Deion Sanders wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. 2 rings might have made a difference there. It is a big deal. It is not easy to win one. It's not easy to get one of these. To get 2 of them is beyond double the work. And I think the Chiefs were fortunate to have a shot in 2020. Last year didn't go our way. I think they probably learned more from that loss than they did from the win in 2019. And I think you got guys like Mahomes, like Kelsey, Frank Clark. You got guys that were on this team, Chris Jones, that are going to be fired up. They know how rare this opportunity is. And I think there's a huge difference between teams that won 1 Super Bowl, even teams that won one Super Bowl and went to 2. If you look back to the 1960s in the Kansas City Chiefs heritage, Lynn Dawson won an amazing amount of championships. I think they won 4 championships. They were in 6. They went to 2 Super Bowls, won one, lost one. Lynn was a Hall of Fame player, unquestionably deserved that. But I think there's a huge difference between guys that have won 1 Super Bowl and guys that have won 2 or more. And so I think it's a big deal for the franchise. I don't know if anybody would come out and say it outright, but I think it's a big deal.
And it's also for Lenny, because Lenny passed away. So it's a good thing for, so if you win the Super Bowl, it makes him feel, the family would be like, hey, here's a Super Bowl ring for you.
It would be incredibly nice to, the players have won the number 16 on their helmets and jerseys all year long. It'd be pretty cool to get Lenny, one more Super Bowl. I think Lynn would have appreciated that. I think one of the things that always bothered Lynn was the amount of time that, went by with it. He carried the torch for so many years. He didn't want to be the crowning jewel for 50 years. He would have taken 10 or 20, but 50 years is an awful long time. And I think it would be a special thing to win one in this year for Lynn Dawson.
That's cool. Well, Dan, let me let you go. I know you want to get yourself relaxed. I know you got a lot of stuff to do this week in Phoenix, and have fun. Have a great time and soak it in, because you never know. Like you said, you don't know you're going to go back there next year. You never know. This might be but with the way Kansas City's playing these years, you might be back there next year in Vegas. High rolling.
Could be. You never know, but we're definitely going to enjoy this one just in case, right?
Yeah. Yep. Well, thanks for being part of our show, and have a great time.
Thanks, guys. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Yes. All right, that's Dan Israel, executive producer and co-host of Chiefs Radio Network out there in beautiful Kansas City, Missouri.
Now, Chris, it's called. We've had Dan Hughes and Josh Klinger on.
We need to get Mitch on. I got to work this weekend. I got to get the old HerbFM phone rolling up.
Oh, I know. But in the future, I need to have